The streets of Tulsa are about to explode again. Dwight Manfredi isn't running from his past anymore, he's walking straight through it. The new trailer for Tulsa King, Season 3 Episode 5, doesn't just tease action, it promises a storm. You can feel it in every glare, every breath, every gunshot that echoes before the screen fades to black. Something big is coming. The kind of moment that turns allies into enemies and kings into ghosts. There's a strange silence that runs through the trailer, the kind that feels louder than any explosion. You see Dwight standing in the middle of the road, his coat swaying in the wind, eyes fixed on something we can't see. That's the first sign. He's not chasing anymore. He's waiting. The man who built an empire in the rough streets of Tulsa looks tired, maybe even haunted, but that quiet confidence still burns behind his stare. This episode feels like the turning point, the one where everything that's been boiling finally spills over. The trailer doesn't give much away, but it gives just enough quick flashes of betrayal, tension, and a city ready to erupt. You can tell the rules have changed. The alliances we trusted in the first few episodes are cracking, and Dwight is standing in the middle of it all, trying to hold together something that's already broken. The beauty of Tulsa King has always been in how it balances chaos with control. Dwight isn't just a criminal, he's a strategist, a man who reads the streets like a book. But now, those pages are on fire. You can see it in how people look at him, some with fear, others with ambition. Every handshake in this trailer feels like a deal with the devil. And every smile hides a knife. Episode 5, being the mid-season finale, makes it clear. This isn't just another chapter. It's the explosion before the silence. The story has been building piece by piece, the uneasy partnerships, the rival families, the law closing in, and the ghosts of Dwight's past refusing to stay buried. And now, all those pieces are about to collide. The trailer doesn't scream it, it whispers it, and that makes it even more dangerous. There's one moment, almost hidden, that says everything. Dwight, standing alone at a bar, staring at his reflection in the mirror. He doesn't look like a man proud of what he's built. He looks like a man who knows it's slipping away. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's warning. But whatever it is, it tells us one thing. The king's crown is starting to feel heavy. And in Tulsa King, when the crown slips, blood usually follows. What's coming next feels personal. The kind of personal that burns everything in its path. The trailer closes on a single line, half whispered but sharp as a knife. You think you know who you're dealing with. That's not just a threat. It's a promise. A promise that the game isn't over. It's only getting darker. There's a certain kind of tension that only Tulsa King can pull off. The kind that crawls under your skin and sits there, waiting. Episode 5 looks like the moment that tension finally snaps. The trailer doesn't just show us action. It shows us emotion hidden under armor. You can see it in Dwight's eyes, the cold stare of a man who's trusted too many people for too long. He's been building an empire out of dust, brick by brick. But now those bricks are starting to fall, and the cracks are showing not in his business, but in his heart. Every great empire in this series has been built on loyalty, and everyone has fallen because of it. That's what makes this trailer so haunting. The camera doesn't linger on the violence. It lingers on faces. The faces of people Dwight once believed in. There's a quick shot of Bodie, nervous and twitching, his eyes darting away as Dwight speaks. Then Stacy, torn between duty and desire, her reflection split by a police interrogation mirror. These moments don't shout betrayal, they whisper it. You can tell something's about to break, and when it does, it won't be clean. The streets of Tulsa have always had their own rhythm, and Dwight has danced to it better than anyone. But this time, the music feels offbeat. His crew looks divided. Every conversation carries double meaning. There's an air of suspicion, like everyone's already chosen a side. And Dwight's the last to realize he's standing alone. That's the cruel beauty of Tulsa King. The danger doesn't always come from the gun pointed at you. Sometimes it's the handshake right before it pulls the trigger, in one tense moment. We see Dwight sitting in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel, headlights cutting through a rainy night. The silence in that scene says more than any dialogue could. It's the silence of a man doing the math, weighing who's still loyal, who's gone rogue, and who's going to pay for it all. That shot lingers just long enough for us to feel the weight of what's coming. Then there's Chicky. Every fan knows Chicky has been a ticking time bomb since season 1. And the trailer finally hints that he's ready to explode. There's a flash of him slamming a door, another of him yelling into a phone, his face twisted in anger. Whatever's happening, it's personal. You can almost feel the heat of betrayal rising between him and Dwight. Chicky's loyalty has always been tied to control, and when he can't control Dwight, that loyalty turns into venom. Episode 5 might be where that venom spills. But loyalty isn't just about business in Tulsa King, it's about identity. Dwight's whole life has been built on keeping his word, protecting his people, and living by a code that doesn't bend even when it should. The problem is, codes don't survive in chaos. The trailer teases glimpses of Dwight's softer side, a brief moment where he looks at an old photo, a memory flickering behind his eyes. Maybe he's remembering what it felt like to trust someone without second-guessing. Maybe he's realizing that trust is a luxury he can no longer afford. There's also something different in how the trailer feels: darker, sharper, more emotional. The colors are colder, the lighting dimmer. Even the soundtrack carries this low, steady hum, like a heartbeat about to stop. Every visual choice feels deliberate, signaling that this mid-season finale isn't just another episode, it's a reckoning. And yet, for all the chaos, Dwight remains still. That's what makes him so dangerous. He doesn't panic, he calculates. You can see the gears turning behind his eyes in every frame. He's preparing for something, not a reaction, but a strike. There's this moment, almost too quick to catch, where he loads a gun and then hesitates. Not out of fear, but out of thought. That hesitation says everything. Dwight knows that one wrong move now could burn down everything he's fought to build. In the final seconds of the trailer, we hear a faint voice, maybe Bodhi's, saying, "You can't trust anyone anymore." And Dwight's reply, cold, steady, and final, "I never did." The screen cuts to black. That's the kind of line that defines a mid-season finale, not just a quote, but a declaration. Dwight Manfredi isn't just surviving anymore. He's evolving. Tulsa King, Season 3 Episode 5 is shaping up to be a war disguised as a conversation. A betrayal hidden inside a promise. The shadows of loyalty stretch long in Tulsa, and as Dwight walks through them, one thing is clear: every king needs a crown. But not everyone wearing one survives the throne. There comes a moment in every empire when silence feels heavier than gunfire. That's where Tulsa King, Season 3 Episode 5 seems to live, in that fragile space between power and collapse. The trailer doesn't scream chaos, it breathes it. You can almost taste the pressure in the air, thick with tension and unspoken truth. Dwight Manfredi has always walked a line between being a leader and a survivor, but this time, the line itself is cracking beneath his boots. The opening flashes of the trailer feel different, colder, lonelier. Tulsa looks less like a city and more like a battlefield. Empty streets glisten under streetlights, the kind of light that reveals more secrets than it hides. Dwight isn't surrounded by his crew anymore. He's isolated. Every shadow feels like a threat, every noise a warning. He's the kind of man who's used to being hunted. But now he looks like he's hunting something of his own. Maybe revenge. Maybe redemption. Maybe both. The breaking point isn't always an explosion. Sometimes, it's a whisper. There's a moment in the trailer where Dwight sits in a dim room, just staring at a photo, his old crew from back in New York. His face doesn't move, but his eyes tell the whole story. That's when you realize this isn't just another power struggle. It's personal now. The man who once ruled the streets with an iron fist is finally questioning what it's all for. The loyalty he fought to keep is gone, and all that's left is the echo of promises that no longer mean anything. Then, the trailer cuts quick, sharp, and ruthless. A gun drawn in the dark, tires screeching, someone running, someone else bleeding. It's chaos woven with precision, the kind that makes you hold your breath without realizing it. And in between all that madness, Dwight's voice cuts through like gravel, calm, almost poetic. "When you push a man too far, you don't get the same man back." That line might just be the soul of Episode 5. There's also a deeper sadness under everything. You can feel it in the way the scenes are shot, slower, more deliberate. This isn't the energy of a man rising, it's the rhythm of one being cornered. But Dwight isn't the type to beg, he's the type to rebuild. He's lost before, and every loss has made him harder, sharper, smarter. The problem is, being sharp means you cut everything you touch, even the people you once cared for. And that's exactly what Episode 5 is setting up. Dwight finally realizing that to save his empire, he might have to destroy what's left of his heart. We get a brief shot of Stacy again, her face pale under fluorescent lights, a folder in her hand marked confidential. It's not clear whether she's protecting Dwight or setting him up, and that mystery adds fuel to the fire. She's been both his weakness and his warning, and now she might be his undoing. Meanwhile, the FBI subplot seems to tighten its grip. A voice on the phone says, "We've got him where we want him." But anyone who's watched Dwight long enough knows, you never have him where you want him. He's always one step ahead, even when it looks like he's falling behind. And yet, there's this eerie calm to him, like a man who's already accepted what's coming. That's the scariest version of Dwight Manfredi, the one who isn't fighting to win, but fighting because it's the only thing he knows how to do. The trailer captures that perfectly. It's not about victory anymore. It's about survival with dignity, about holding your code when the whole world's trying to break it. You can sense that. Episode 5 will be the emotional core of the season, not just fists and bullets, but heartbreak and revelation. Maybe someone close will die. Maybe Dwight will lose more than his crew. But whatever happens, it's going to leave a scar that carries into the second half of the season. The trailer doesn't show us who lives or dies. And that's what makes it brilliant. It gives you just enough to fear everyone. Then comes the final few seconds. The ones that hit hardest. A slow pan across a burning building. The sound of sirens in the distance. Dwight walking away, his back turned, the fire reflecting in his eyes. You can't tell if he started it or if he's just finished watching something he loved go up in flames. And then, over the crackling sound, his voice returns. Every king falls. The trick is getting back up before the ashes cool. That's the breaking point, not the fall, but the decision to rise again. Tulsa King has always been about second chances wrapped in bad decisions, about honor in places that have forgotten the word. Episode 5 feels like the moment where Dwight stops trying to play the game and starts rewriting the rules. The calm is gone. The storm has begun. When the storm finally hits, it doesn't ask for permission. It tears through everything, loyalty, love, and power, leaving only those strong enough to crawl out of the wreckage. That's what Tulsa King Season 3 Episode 5 feels like. The storm that Dwight Manfredi has been trying to outrun since his first day in Tulsa has finally caught up to him. But the difference now is, he isn't running anymore. He's standing in the center of it, eyes wide open, ready to face everything he's built and everything he's broken. The trailer pulses with a strange kind of energy, not the wild chaos of a gunfight, but the controlled fury of a man who's had enough. There's a scene, barely 2 seconds long, of Dwight walking through a factory yard at night. Rain hits his shoulders, lights flicker in the distance, and his steps are steady, almost to calm. You can feel that this isn't just another confrontation. This is the moment he's been saving his rage for. The music builds under his movement, slow and haunting, like thunder rolling in the distance. This is the storm, and Dwight is walking straight into it. What makes this part of the story powerful isn't just the violence that's coming, it's the silence before it. The camera lingers on small things, a glass tipping over, a lighter flicking on, the look in someone's eyes before they make a choice they can't take back. These moments show us that Episode 5 isn't just about who wins the fight. It's about who's still standing after the dust settles. The trailer gives us flashes of destruction, gunfire lighting up a dark alley, tires spinning on wet concrete, a man falling against a wall with a look of shock on his face. But it never tells us who lives. It never tells us who dies. That's where the magic lies, in not knowing. There's also a strange beauty in how the chaos is filmed. The streets of Tulsa look like they're alive, breathing smoke and fire. The neon lights flicker through the rain, painting the city in red and gold, like a crown drenched in blood. Every shot feels intentional, every sound sharp. You can tell this is the mid-season finale, the heartbeat of the entire season. The writers aren't holding anything back anymore. Every storyline, every secret, every betrayal is crashing together in one final storm. And right at the center of it all stands Dwight, not as a gangster, not as a hero, but as a man who's finally accepted what he is and what he's not. The trailer hints at a massive standoff, the kind of scene that makes your pulse quicken before you even see what happens. There's no dialogue, just Dwight loading his gun, staring into the night. You can tell he's not doing this for revenge anymore. He's doing it because he has to. Because when you've spent your life fighting to be the king, there's only one way to stay on the throne. You keep fighting, even when it costs you everything. But the trailer doesn't let him off easy. There's a shot of him bleeding, limping, still moving forward. A reminder that being king isn't about being untouchable. It's about being unstoppable. Every scar Dwight carries tells a story of loyalty, betrayal, survival. You can almost hear that old-school wisdom in his silence. That unspoken rule he's lived by his whole life. You can take my power, but you'll never take my pride. Then comes the scene that fans will talk about for weeks. The final 20 seconds of the trailer. A slow-motion shot of Dwight walking through smoke, his shadow stretching across the ground like a ghost. The city burns behind him. Sirens wail. The camera zooms closer, not on his face, but on his hands. They're empty. No gun, no crown. Just a man who's finally done pretending to be invincible. That's the message of Episode 5. Even kings bleed. The voiceover that plays in those final seconds feels like a confession. It's Dwight's voice, rough and tired, almost broken. You don't rule a city by force. You rule it by fear. And when the fear fades, you find out who you really are. That's not a threat, it's reflection. The kind that comes after losing too much. After realizing that maybe the throne you built isn't worth the cost of sitting on it. Then the screen cuts to black. A heartbeat sound fades in, slow and heavy. A final line appears in white letters. Mid-season finale, everything changes. And just like that, it ends. No resolution, no comfort, no promise of victory, just the silence of a storm that hasn't finished yet. That's the brilliance of Tulsa King. It doesn't need to tell you what happens next. It makes you feel it. You can sense that episode 5 will close one chapter only to open a darker one. The kind where every decision Dwight makes will echo through the rest of the season, shaping who he becomes and who he loses. Because in Tulsa, power doesn't come with peace. It comes with ghosts, scars, and the constant sound of thunder on the horizon. And as the trailer fades out, one thing becomes clear. The storm isn't ending. It's just moving closer.